Good singing this morning. I'm glad I didn't have to lead those songs. I didn't know what happened. But we'll learn what we do. You know, we've got I really appreciate the eldership we have here. The elder's responsibility is for the health of the church, the soul of the church. Watch over those who are hurting, needing. Watch over those who are teaching, to teach correctly. We have good eldership here. I've been to some churches, been involved in churches where we didn't have elders, or they were elders were divided. We have good, strong elders, and we appreciate the three of you, even though two are here this morning. We appreciate the three of you for the work that you do in leading us and keeping us on the straight and narrow and everything. Now today, our lesson is going to be about vulgar or vulgarity. And rarely do we hear this spoken about much. Because it is a very common thing. One day I was going down through the store. We come up to the end, and there was two or three guys standing there at the end, right by an end cap, and this one guy says, you know, God said to me, F that, and go do this, and I stopped. I mean, it just stopped me. And I looked at him, and I said, my God wouldn't use words like that. And he looked at me and he said, I wasn't talking to you. I said, all right, so I walked off. I mean, you know, it is so common for us today to hear terms, and they're just euphemisms. They're being used so frequently that the people don't even realize that's what they're saying. And as a general rule, you'll find out that vulgar words are involved in the sexual way about things. May call you names. In fact, you may have been in an argument with somebody one time. I was in an argument, and the person said, don't cuss at me. And I said, I don't cuss. And that's what they heard, because they only hear these vulgar things on a daily basis. So let's talk about our situation, and let's get a handle on the kind of language we should have. So look at this in James 1, verses 19 through 20. My dear brothers, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen and slow to anger, and slow in becoming angry. For man's anger does not bring about the righteousness in life. Sorry, I'm a little different. Righteous life that God desires. So now let's talk about that. Isn't it interesting? Why, when we're talking about moral filth in our lives, how should we consider anger as being a problem? The problem is that anger doesn't function with righteousness. Now, I understand you get angry, but anger is an emotion. Emotions and feelings should never drive your actions, and your mouth is an action. What you say is going to be an action. And it should be something that is fully understood. Now let's take a look at this picture here. You've heard of the iceberg before. Example of what's visible. What's visible is the anger. We see the anger. What's invisible? Well, look at this. Insecurity, sadness, shame, helplessness, inadequacy, loneliness, frustration, emptiness, guilt, and fear. Now those things drive your anger. And when we're using language, those things bring about that kind of language. Look at this for righteousness. Righteousness is, let's take a look at the definition, just what is right, what is justice, what is the act of doing, what is in agreement with God. Standards, the state of being in proper relationship with God. Now, you notice I put that at the top of the picture? Because if you can handle all these things below, you won't have anger. Anger won't be a part of it. What are the qualities of a righteous person? They have moral integrity, they have generosity, honesty, justice, compassion, and empathy. Not influenced by all the things that go on in life. They have goodwill towards others, and they strive towards excellence. Do you understand? Are you paying attention to how these, if they were conquered, will help you with your anger? So here it says for us to rid ourselves of all moral filth and evil that is accepted by the world. Look down at verse 27. Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after the orphans and widows in distress and keep them from being polluted by the world. The world is what pollutes us. Get rid of the moral filth and evil in your lives, and guess what? You won't have the filth that comes with it. What are morals? We talked about this last week. Morals are a person's standards or behavior or beliefs concerning what is and what is not acceptable for them to do. Morals are each individual's own rules to live in society. Are they? It may be morally right to do in one country and not morally right to do in this country. And we see that with the invasion of Islam coming into our societies, and the way in which they do things, what they do, they think is morally right, with the mutilation of girls, the marrying of girls at a young age, the covering them so that they won't lust after women instead of them controlling themselves. You see, here again, we're at the bottom of the picture on that first iceberg. Morals are your responsibility. Each one of us must make sure we are moral. A moral behavior is driven by the desire to be good. What is good? Of God. What is evil? Of the devil. On the contrary, an ethical behavior is an action that is followed by the rules of whatever is considered correct in society. So we can be correct for society and not be correct for God. When we're standing there listening to things being talked about, watching movies that constantly abuse our ears because we're God's people. When Jesus was asked, he replied, "My mother and my brothers are those who hear the words of God and carry it out." Who are you? Are you his mother or brother or sister? Are you carrying out those, or are you taking moral filth into yourself and spreading it through vulgar words? You have to hear the word and not to be deceived and not deceive yourself. You set your affection on things above, not on things of the earth. You know, we want to say something, maybe we want to say, this man, he is such a great man. He is the greatest man on earth. We think he is great, and all the adjectives we give, we can't quite seem to get to the pinnacle, and so we ask someone in the world, and they will use a vulgar word to describe it. Listen, we can't go there. We cannot be deceived by what the world does. It cannot come from us, because what is within us is good. Remember, we are for people. We're for the world. We want to persuade them by our actions, by the way in which we teach, by what we say. We want to make sure that we are right for them. So look at this, what drives our anger. If we are insecure, if we are sad, if we have shame, it's only because we have been deceived by the world and we have not taken on Christ. Simple as that. We should have confidence. We should be conquerors. We should be people who go out constantly training ourselves. Here's what Jesus said about that. Go out and make disciples. What are disciples? Those who follow the discipline of God. Make disciples and then baptize them. In other words, put them into the church. And then teach them everything that I've taught you. That's Matthew 28, verses 18 through 20. Loneliness, you're never alone. God is always with you. It may be tough, and you may feel like you're alone, but you can always talk to Him. And you remember what we talked about last week? How He always sees you. His eyes are always on you, and His ears are always listening to you. The world doesn't have that. They feel loneliness. We shouldn't. Frustration, what are we frustrated about? Even if we feel like everything should go this way and it's going that way, you can't be frustrated about it. What you can do is find out what's there. I remember years ago, there was an article in, what was her name? Handlanders, when they were named. And this woman had had a child that was not normal. Somehow uniquely different. And this is what my parents thought about me. But she turns to Ann Landers and said, I need help with this. Ann Landers reposted a letter she'd gotten one time where a woman said, you know, if you got married and you went to Italy, because everybody gets married goes to Italy, they're going to go see the Colosseum, they're going to go see the Vatican, they're going to go walking around, they're going to eat Italian food and all that, and all of a sudden you realize you're on a plane to Holland. You're not on a plane to Italy. In other words, you had a child, you got pregnant, you expected to have this child, and all of a sudden your child is not the way you wanted them to be. And you can't do the things that other people want to do. But there's beauty in Holland. There's the windmills, there's the tulips, there's beautiful waterways, all this sort of thing. Here's what you have to do. Don't be deceived by the world. Turn around. Look at God. and see that what He has for you is better than you have ever imagined. You may think you're living a peculiar life, but you're living it for a reason. You're training yourself. You're changing yourself. You're not being deceived by the world. You're becoming a person who is full of God and showing that to the world. And that's our job, to be able to show the world who God is. How? By your actions. Now let's take a look at unwholesome talk here in chapter 4, verses 29 through 32. Chapter 4. Verse 29 through 32. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. And do not grieve the Holy Spirit of God, with whom you have been sealed for the day of redemption. Get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger, brawling, and slander, along with every kind of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as Christ, God, gave us. All right. We have to be careful. You can't have unwholesome talk. Do not let foul speech come out of you. It's not supposed to be there. Now, let me tell you something. This is not easy. If you're accustomed to cussing, it's hard to stop. It's hard to quit it. But you can stop saying it, even though you may still think it. And sin has roots. You may have cleaned your garden, but tomorrow the weeds will be back. And the reason why is because the roots are deep. Don't let foul words come out of your mouth. Unwholesome talk, vulgarity. Don't say things you shouldn't say. I thought it was interesting that they put an F in there, huh? Be the kind of people who can tame your own tongue. Some simple facts. Foul language appears in many different areas of our life. Work, school, around our co-workers, in the public, walking down the street, on advertisements, on TV, on the billboards. The multitude of those who use curse words use them as their regular vocabulary. They don't even understand they're saying it. What they need desperately is someone who will not use vulgar words when they're speaking to them. You know why? Because he says here, they're desperately needing to hear what you have to say. Most of these people are ignorant and are blatantly disregarding God's words about speech. Many of them don't know. And today, the children at school use these words all the time in their descriptions. They've got it written in their essays. They read them when they give a speech. They don't realize what they're doing. They're ignorant. Now, ignorant's not stupid. Stupid's totally different. Ignorant is, I didn't know. Stupid is, I knew, but I did it anyway. See the difference? I remember seeing shows where they teach little kids to say the bad words so it'd be funnier. I think that's child abuse. You know, the other day I was listening to our president, and he gets up there and everybody's hanging on every word he says until he says a word that is basically manure. And boy, they praise and they applaud and they get up. Why? Because they do it too. Reminds me of the scripture that says, Paul says that they will heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. They're longing to be deceived, and so they're praise those who deceive. Now, let me tell you, I know the guy. I know he worked in construction. I've been in construction. I know all about it. I was working with this one place, and the lady said, "Hey, hand me that stuff." And I turned around and used words against her. What stuff? This stuff, this stuff, this stuff? What do you want? Use a word. Actually tell me something real. She's like shocked. Because she didn't understand the difference between a pair of scissors and everything else that was on the table. It is a euphemism that's used for almost anything. So, here's what we do. We only speak what builds up. We only speak words that build others up and be an encouragement to those who hear them because they're desperately waiting for it. Man, good job you did today. I'm so glad you're here. I've been waiting just for you. Thank you for waiting. It was so important to honor me by waiting. You were late, yes. I got held up. But don't come in saying, sorry, I was held up and I had a flat tire and whatever. But rather, build them up. How do you do that? You have to think about these things in advance. You have to taste the words that are going to come out of your mouth so that you don't make a mistake. We shouldn't be impromptu people. We are noble people of God. We can't speak off the cuff. We have to be careful with the words we say. We have to make sure that we're going to help others when we talk. Speech and communication, the tongue of the righteous are slow to speak and build others up. Not quick to speak because, if you're somebody else that's speaking and you can't wait till they shut up so you can say something, you're not listening to what they say. And if you get angry about what they're saying, you're not listening to what they're saying. You're responding to it with an emotion. Now, let me tell you, when you have an emotion, it's in one part of your brain. It's a little walnut-sized piece in the middle of your brain. For you to get it out of there and to think about it before you do it, what you have to do, seriously, is stop and take a breath. The breath you take, the moment you wait, the fact that you haven't turned around and immediately spoken back, gets you out of the emotion of the event and put your thoughts here where you ponder things. You ever notice how somebody, when they're really having a hard time trying to think of something, they'll go, "Oh, what was that?" You ever seen that? And they'll realize they're trying to massage that part of your brain that thinks. The part of the brain that feels. Nobody has trouble with that one. They're only having trouble not saying anything while they're sitting there in that part of their feeling brain. We have to be people who build others up. That's our job. That's who we are. Your children, your spouse, your neighbor, your co-workers. It's a discipline that you train yourself with to be able to make the other person's life enjoyable. This world is not about you. It's not all about you. Are you in it? Yes. But it's not about you. You have to rid yourself of bitterness. And you know, there are times when people do things to us, then it brings up our past, and the bitterness comes back to us, and we're just in a rage about it. What is the root of bitterness? Well, here's what it is. It's not just a bad attitude. It is a deep spiritual condition that defiles, binds, and blinds you. It is often fed by unhealed wounds, disappointment, and unforgiveness. Things that you have not forgiven in other people. Did you know somebody comes in, you don't want to talk to them, there they are. Yeah. I thought for sure I'd come in late enough I wasn't going to have to talk to them. Or you're sitting there and all of a sudden, here they come. Right to you. You know what's wrong? You have not forgiven them for being who they are. Let me tell you something. Your parents may not have been the parents you wanted. I wish I had been born with this set of parents. Boy, look at old Sally over there. She got those great parents. How come I didn't get parents like that? Grow up. Take the parents that you hoped you would have, just like the child you thought you were going to have, and bear it and accept the one you've got. Accept the parents you have. They have limitations. They can't do any better because they don't know any better. And for you to expect otherwise is to destroy yourself, not them. Are you listening? Yeah. The Bible reveals how dangerous bitterness can be when it takes root in an individual, in families, and in communities. You've got to go up to them, whoever it was who made you bitter. Forgive them, let it go, and treat them by building them up. That's who you have to be. No matter what they did to you, let it go. I didn't say, let it go. Singing that song. I sing, let it go. Amen. Because it can't be changed, but you can change you. Because you can change you, you're in a better place. Here's 8 effective ways of overcoming bitterness and resentment. Forgive yourself and then learn how to forgive others. Let me tell you, most of the problems come from the fact that you're ashamed of what you have done. You're driving in the road. All of a sudden you look and there's a policeman. You know what you think about? All the things you've done wrong while driving. The cars you were trying to pull into a parking lot and hit, and you backed out real quick and went on your way. The speeding you did. The turning right on red when it said don't turn around red. I just did that the other day. Well, it was at the hospital. I said, oh my goodness, I can't believe I did that. What an example I am to the world. Think positively about those you resent. You're mad because they've got money and you don't. Let me tell you something. Be happy for them that they don't have to suffer. Change the way you think, the way you look at them. Appreciate them even if you don't feel like doing so. Find something good in them. Stop stalking them. There's some people you want to go out there and stalk them because you want to feel angry again. Celebrate with them. They've got a promotion you didn't. Celebrate with them. Enjoy their promotion. Work hard. Continue on. Let me tell you something. If you can't get a promotion every time you pass by, change jobs. Simple as that. Whatever they like, they're not going to find in you. I was fired from a job one time because I don't go out drinking and I don't cuss. And they didn't feel comfortable around me. Okay, fine. Go find you another job. Prevent yourself from talking bad about those people. And you know where you do the most talking about other people? Right here in your little brain. You'll go over the conversations and you just get a picture of them in your mind and and what they did to you. Don't go over it. Don't play that movie over again. You're in charge of the movie scripts that come up before you. Focus on improving yourself. And, oh, the dreaded one. Pray for them. And pray for your heart. Now, BPD stands for, okay, just a minute. Almost. B stands for almost. But anyway, it's like as if you're almost getting a personality disorder. But look what it says here. Rage in a nutshell is putting yourself as close to being a separate personality. You can't afford to go there, folks. People who have multiple personalities is because they have problems. And when they take away the problems, they can come back to themselves. It's a disorder. A disorder of the what? Of the mind. How do you fix that? You put the mind in order. How do you put the mind in order? You turn to God and you learn how to act. BPD, rage, is an intense, uncontrollable anger that often seems disproportionate to the situation. You just blow up all of a sudden. What's going on? All I did was ask you, what do you want to eat this evening? Or whatever. This anger can be triggered by perceived slights, where someone hurts you and they weren't meaning to, but you perceived it that way. Or rejection, leading to explosive outbursts that can damage the relationship and personal well-being. This can make you sick. You can get ulcers and all kinds of problems from that. Those experiencing BPD rage, which is just rage, may feel deep regret and shame afterward, the episodes further exacerbating their emotional instability. How do you get emotional instability? You anchor yourself in God. You learn how to feel, how to think, how to do. What's that called? You're renewing your mind daily. Why are you renewing your mind? To put it in, say it with me, order. Because you don't want mind that is disordered. It's all up to you. You don't have to be enraged because somebody pulled over in front of you. And I've seen people kill each other over it. You don't have to go out and burn flags. You don't have to go out and cause mobs and whatever. Get over it. It's up to you. We've seen mobs who have a victim mentality, and they steal, and they break, and they rob, and you know what they are? They're mad because you have, and they don't. But you want to know something? The potential to have as much as anybody else, anywhere, is within you. I read the other day, Mr. Musk had reached the $1 trillion mark, $1 trillion mark. And Mr. Trump said to him the other day, you can't embarrass me because I only have a few tens of billions. And to me, I'm thinking, I got tens of dollars, you know. That's about it. And they're sitting there laughing at each other. How do you handle this? Don't let it drive you to do things that will destroy your life. These people, if caught, will be in jail, have to pay fines, have to go fix these windows and all that stuff. And the poor people that they are stealing from, who have worked hard for this success, we have to have where our talk does not drive us to do things wrongly. Unwholesome talk cannot come out of our mouth, cannot fester in our brain, cannot be continued. Bitterness, rage, and brawling. Look at this brawling. Haven't you seen it where people are at a McDonald's and they start beating everybody up and throwing drinks at everybody? There was a kid who had gotten his coffee, and the person got mad because it was too hot and threw it in his face, burned his eyes. He was blind forever. You can't act that way. You are a godly person. Tonight we're going to talk about problems. Yeah, we all got it. We got problems, man. We got trouble. We're going to talk about tonight what to do about it, how to handle it, how to train yourself. Christianity is training. It's hard work, but it's training. And let's look at the last one here in Ephesians chapter 5, verses 3 through 4. Look what he says. You can't do that because you're God's holy people. Be imitators of God, therefore, as dearly loved children, and live a life of love, just as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us as a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. But among you there must not be even a hint of sexual immorality or any kind of impurity or greed, because these are improper for God, holy people. Who are you? What do you think of yourself? When you go out there in the world and you're standing before others, what is the confidence you have? Who are you? You think a person with $1 trillion is going to stand there and worry about whether or not they can afford breakfast? We've got to make sure there is not even a hint of impurity or greed in your life. Impurity does not belong in a pure heart. Did you hear that?
That's right.
And yours has been made pure by the blood of Christ.
That's right.
You can't think otherwise. And what's inside of you is what comes out. If vulgarity and anger of other people and resentment and brawling and all that comes out of you, it's because that's what's in there, and it's not the pureness of God. Whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. This too is meaningless or vanity or worthlessness. Do you want to have more money? Yeah. What do you want to do with it? You want a bigger house? You want a shinier car? You want better clothes? Look at me. What about taking care of the orphans? Taking care of the widows? What about sending to disaster relief so they can take more stuff up there to those who are desperate, needing it? What about Mountain State Home over there? That's the name of it? That takes care of people, takes people in, cares for them, helps them get jobs, helps them go through school, get what they need, teaches their children what a good man is, what a good woman is. We have an orphanage over in Kagasi. We paid off the mortgage on it. Never been able to go there and see how they treat the children. Seen a lot of pictures of orphanages in Russia. Ain't they great? More like cages than baby beds. Go do something good with yourself. Don't be impure, be pure. Be concerned about others and their needs. There should be no obscenity ever comes out of your mouth. No coarse joking. We should be people who don't do like they do. You remember this picture? You remember Gone with the Wind? First time cussing was ever in a movie. Frankly, my dear, he said, I don't give a hoot. But you know what? You can't watch a Bruce Willis movie without vulgar languages. You can't even turn on rap songs without vulgar ideas and languages and stuff. Did you know this year's the first time that rap songs have not been in the top 40? Hopefully it shows a return to God. We've got a decision to make here in America. Are we for God or against Him? And things like that in society cannot impress us and move us forward. Sinful jesting or coarse joking. Oh, let me tell you the story. Oh man. And he goes into some sexual, look, this is condemned right along with sexual sins. This kind of jesting uses inappropriate words and double meanings. They are dirty sexual jokes with sexual innuendos. Remember a famous song years ago, and the guy was going to say a bad word, but every time he got to it, he said, and I pulled out my shaving cream. And everybody laughs because they know what he's going to say. It was a sexual innuendo. Do you laugh at dirty jokes? Or do you tell them? It's hard to remember a good quality joke. It's easy to remember dirty jokes. Who are you inside? We often ignore things that grieve the heart of God. And we do what we want instead of what we know to do is right. We have to be people of God. You are God's holy people. So act like it. You're His own people. Don't let the world influence it. We're the church. Those called out of the world. Those called out for God. Act like it. Speak like it. Think like it. Do like it. Follow people who are like that. Praise those who are good and godly people. Build people up. Don't put them down. Even people who hurt you, build them up. Don't put them down. Not even in your mind. That's vulgar. Not just words. It's impure thoughts, impure joking, all kinds of things. If you're not right with God, if you need help in these areas, if you want to study about it, you want to bring your mind into order, now's the time. Come as we stand together and sing.